Today I wanted to do a review of the movie Project Hail Mary, directed by Christopher Lord, no, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and starring Ryan Gosling as an astronaut who wakes up in a starship in the middle of nowhere, and he has no idea how he got there or what he has to do. And slowly along the movie we are revealed to his mission and the discoveries he makes, sorry, while he is trying to accomplish that mission. It's a very interesting movie because it's science fiction in the vein, I would say, of Interstellar. Interstellar, as you might remember, was a movie that, yeah, I mean, it took a lot of real scientific data, basically, and it moved it on towards the realm of science fiction, which I think is the real way to do proper and good science fiction that you can feel that it could happen, basically, because I mean, in Interstellar and also in this movie, the basis of it all that happens in the movie is real. I mean, some of the things, I mean, the biology is real, although the invention of certain things, of course, has to happen in order for the movie to happen. So in this movie, there's this kind of organism that they discover in space called an astrophage, and what the astrophage does is eating basically the electromagnetic radiation of the sun, and that makes the sun dim a little bit too much. So it is advised, it is discovered basically by the scientists on Earth, that if these organisms keep eating basically the sun is going to dim enough for life on Earth to be unsustainable. So of course it is very important to find an answer, and they discover that there's a solar system in our own galaxy, of course, that hasn't been affected by this organism. So they go there and they plan to send a machine, spaceship there, and some people, in order for them to discover what makes that star, that system different, and for them to relay any knowledge and any potential solutions to the crisis towards Earth. So, and they used that organism in order to propel the ships. That's a little bit more, a little bit harder to understand, but it is, you can explain it basically with the science in the movie. I think it's a very interesting thing that it is Andy Weir's third book, but second movie, spawned from one of his books, which is quite outstanding. His first book turned into a movie was The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott. I think about 10, 11 years ago. I mean, I have seen The Martian like 100 million times because I love that movie, because again, it's so real. I mean, in that movie, they leave an astronaut on Mars believing he is dead, but he finds a way to survive there for, I think, that almost like a year, something like that, several months in any way, until he is able to be rescued. And in this movie, there's also the themes of loneliness, the themes of not feeling enough, basically. Although this character and the one in The Martian are very different, because the one in The Martian, he knows he's an astronaut, he knows he's a botanist, and he knows that he knows what he knows, basically, which is, he's very sure of himself until the very end. And in the end, he feels like, okay, I have to give in my will, basically, in order to be saved, which is very interesting in that movie. In this movie, Ryan Gosling basically is portraying a man that has never felt enough, has always felt like a failure. The only things that he believed in were used to mock him, basically, on his field, and he exited that field because he realized he wasn't going to do that much. So he became a school teacher, a middle school teacher, if I'm not mistaken. Because, I mean, yeah, he had all the studies, he was very smart and everything, but he apparently wasn't talking about what other other scientists were speaking about. So he was like not kicked out, but he felt kicked out basically. So he started just teaching in a school. So it's very interesting that someone like that they never aspired to anything, and it's so much deeper because in the movie we realize that he doesn't have a family. That's very explicitly said at one point. He doesn't have anyone special that he loves and that he that he needs, being so far away. I mean, and we eventually discover that that's one of the reasons why he was sent in the mission, because he wouldn't miss anyone technically. So it's of course a very optimistic movie, because a person that is very far away, as alone as no one has ever been in existence, he still wants to find the solution to the problem basically. And I think that's very commendable. And I don't really know if all humans would do that, but let's hope. Yeah, and of course, one of the most interesting things about this movie is the fact that this movie presents us with an alien life form, which is a very original creation. I mean, if you have seen anything about this movie, you have seen the alien, and he's basically like metals and minerals basically are what make him. So he's very different. He's like a spider, but like a crab, but like a rock, but like a lot of things that we could think about, but still original. And his biology is also very sound. I mean, it could happen basically, which is very, very, very cool, because you know that it's not a humanoid thing, but it's like his very own kind of thing that could happen again. And it's very interesting. The character design is quite smart, and the screenplay is also very smart, because it makes us laugh a lot at some points, especially when the relationship between the astronaut and the alien forms, but also with the heart wrenching scenes that, I mean, there are a couple of scenes that are really really difficult to process, and I have to confess that at least on one of those I cried like a crazy person because it was so well done, and it made you, I mean, it really made you feel like that was it, that was it, that there was nothing else that was going to happen. And even though if you watch the runtime of the movie, there was like 30 minutes extra of movie, so obviously there, but it's very well written is what I mean, and the cinematography is beautiful, the production design is fantastic, especially concerning the habitat and the shape of the extraterrestrial. It's very interesting. It's very weird, and I don't know how some of the things were created, but again, I mean, great job by that production team. The sound, the visual effects, of course. So many things are so good. Of course, the directing is really good, and it's kind of amazing to realize that this movie was directed by two guys that have always worked together, but they have recently been more well known for animated films, specifically for the Spider-Man across the universe, across the Spider-Verse, across all of that. Those two movies that have been released, I think a new one is going to be released either this year or next year. And they have also been known to work at some capacity in Marvel, but they weren't able to do what Marvel was going to make them do. So that was interesting, and I think also in Star Wars or something. I mean, they're really great directors, but and you know exactly what kind of movie they like. They like some of the dark, they like really funny scenes, they really like comedy. I mean, there's a lot of comedy in this movie, which is kind of cool because you don't really want a somber movie. This is not a horror movie. I mean, it's not exactly. I mean, you could do a horror movie with the same exact setting, but it would be a whole different picture, and I don't think Ryan Gosling would work in that aspect. And this one, he works perfectly. He has a great comedic timing, but also the weight of all the things that happen to this person, which I appreciated. And I think this is one of his best performances. I mean, Ryan Gosling has done some very interesting work, but I wouldn't really call him like one of the greats. But now I realize that he has been doing like different things. Like he knows what he's doing, and he's trying a lot of things out, and he's mixing things, and he's finding his spot. And let's remember that his last big performance was in Barbie. And in Barbie, he was Ken, who was very comedic, but also had his deep moments, and the movie in general also. So it's very similar in that way. So I think he's a very interesting actor, and I hope he gets a lot more good acting out of this movie. I think this movie is going to be doing really well at award shows in general, especially in the technical categories, because I mean this is a science fiction movie, and let's be honest, science fiction is not really loved by big awards ceremonies and all of that. The Academy Awards rarely give prizes to science fiction movies. I mean, in technical categories, sure, but never best director, never best picture. I mean, it's extremely uncommon. So I hope that it gets as many nominations as it can. I hope it gets a lots of streaming. I saw it on streaming on Prime Video, and to be honest, when the movie was out, I didn't know about it. I mean, I saw like maybe a teaser, maybe something online, but I didn't even know what that was, and I actually I kind of ignored it, and it was afterwards that I learned what the movie was about, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to wait for streaming because it's almost out of the theaters, so it doesn't make sense to go to the theaters when there's like one showing a day or something. But yeah, it eventually got to streaming, and I saw it, and I thought it was so good. It made me feel a lot of things. It was very engaging. I didn't want to stop watching it for a second. I mean, at some point I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, oh god, I have to go fast because I have to watch the whole movie because it's so entertaining and so amazing. And again, it's just two characters at the same time at all times in the movie. It doesn't overwhelm you because it knows it has to explain a lot of things to you. And I think that's that's a smart movie, definitely, because you have to learn a lot of physics and biochemistry and difficult things. So having two characters makes it easier for you to understand what is that they're doing and why they're doing it and how they are doing it. So it's really a smart movie in that sense. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go and stream it on Prime Video. I think it's on Prime Video in every part of the world, but maybe it's in another streaming service in your country. You have to check that out online, but it's a very, very enjoyable, fantastic movie. I really think it's one of the best ones in years, to be honest, in science fiction at least. So yeah, that's my review for this movie. I hope you enjoy it, and I will do a new review as soon as they release another fantastic movie. Thank you so much. Goodbye.